Hello friends, my name is Steve and this is Steve Talks Books. Thanks for coming by today and watching my weekly update. Before I talk about what I've been reading or what I tried to read, what I'm going to read, stuff that's going on the channel, and other fun topics once in a while. For those of you who are new here, I typically read grim, dark, and horror, some fantasy, a little bit of everything. But if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back and watching and supporting me. It means a lot. So, I have to say it's been a slow week. I did not get a lot of reading done this week. Just a lot of stuff going on. I had a lot of work stuff, some long days, and I just didn't get to as much reading as I normally try to. So I'm a little bit behind this week. And I think it makes it worse that I only like to read one book at a time. Unless it's a short story collection, whenever I start a book, I like to finish it. So it bothers me when I have a book that I haven't finished and I start another book. It irritates me, just like when I start a project in real life and I don't finish it. Just gets under my skin. It's just how I roll. So this week I did get through Conqueror's Blood by Zamil Akhtar. It's the follow-up to The Gunmetal Gods. I did start it I think last week, so it took me a while to read it. I mean, what used to be quick, now the last year or so it's kind of slow for me because I try to read about 100 pages a day, and I think that one's like 500 pages. So those of you who watched my review of Gunmetal Gods or the discussion, I really liked Gunmetal Gods, and Zamil and everyone that's read Conqueror's Blood, kind of give me a heads up like it's a lot different. So just be prepared. It's a different change of pace, and it really was. It's a lot of politics. It's a lot of maneuvering. It's a lot of the world, what's going on in the world, and it's very different. It's completely different. It almost reminded me of Bloodsong and then Tower Lord. That it was, I think, even more of a change of pace than that was. And we do get some characters that make a return, but it's not the same. It's the same world, but it's a really big change of pace. I still enjoyed it. It's just it went from nonstop, boom, 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 things happening one after another to slow, maneuvering and manipulating and world building and things like that. So it was a big change. I still enjoyed it, but it was a big change. So it took me a little while to adjust because I went in with certain expectations, even though everyone told me, hey, just a heads up, it's a lot different. I still went in thinking it's going to be Gunmetal Gods, an extension of Gunmetal Gods. So yeah, I still enjoyed it though. So this week I'll be reading Echoes of Blood by Halo Scott. It's the second book in the Rift Cycle series. I plan to be finishing that series hopefully in the next month or so. So that I'm looking forward to that. I really liked the first book, Edge of the Breach, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the second book has to offer. Also this week I'll be reading The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie. We're having a meetup next Sunday morning on Yulene Reads' channel with Jose from Amazing Worlds. And Yulene will discuss The Heroes, and I have to be honest, I am not excited whatsoever. I think Yulene mentioned, neither of us were huge fans of Best Served Cold, so I think it kind of dampened my enthusiasm a little bit. We're reading all these standalones to get to, was it Edge of Madness or Age of Madness, the trilogy. So we're working our way up there. We're going to go through the whole thing, but the description of one battle, no heroes or something like that. Battle scenes just aren't my thing, and these long extended battle scenes, they can get kind of rough. So I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping I enjoy it, but my expectations are not too high, unfortunately. So on the channel last week, I did post the interview with Tim Hardy. He's the author of Hall of Bones. Had a great time with Tim. It's always fun. It still amazes me we can do this kind of thing. He lives in the UK, and we sit down and have a conversation online. It still blows me away we can even do this kind of stuff. It's just weird, but also cool. But so that was recorded last weekend, but posted Monday. Then also this week, I did post the Joshua Marcella interview. It's always fun talking with Joshua Marcella. I didn't prepare any questions at all. I just went in just knowing we'd find stuff to talk about and just kind of shoot the shit. So it worked out pretty well. I hope you enjoy that one. And I also did have an interview with Chris Williams. He's the author of Antibody. We recorded that Friday. We discussed Antibody. We discussed writing. Chris wrote another book about command line web development. We talked about that. We talked about comic books, what kind of comic book he would write if he can write any comic book, and some really fun ideas he has for some books that he may turn into a comic book. I think I may have convinced him. I think he'd make an awesome comic book. But check that out. That'll be posted tomorrow on the channel. And I usually like to spread out these interviews with some kind of review. I have a ton of reviews to film and get out there, and I like to break up these really long form videos with other stuff. So I hate to do back to back these really long form videos, and I try to break them up. This week I just did not have the time. I just fell behind on stuff, and I just didn't have the time. So apologies. I try to break up these long ones, but this week was just not on my side. Not it wasn't cooperating very well. So this week we do have an interview with Jonathan French. He's the author of The Gray Bastards. Talking with him tomorrow. That'll probably post Wednesday or Friday. We'll see how that goes. I think I turned Canadian there for a minute. And then on Friday, I have a conversation with Dirk Ashton. He's the author of Paternus. So looking forward to that one. As always, if you have questions for either of those gentlemen, leave them down below. And next Sunday, before you hear back from me for the next update, I would have had the Conqueror's Blood meetup with Zamil Akhtar, P.L. Stewart, Lana from Lore and Lullabies, and of course Taylor from Made Between the Pages. We met for Gunmetal Gods. We're meeting again this month to discuss Conqueror's Blood. So looking forward to that. We had a blast last time, and really looking forward to that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully you enjoy it. It will be spoiler filled. So if you have not read Gunmetal Gods, you may want to skip that one because you'd want to be spoiled on what happens in Gunmetal Gods. If you have not read Gunmetal Gods and you like grimdark, dark fantasy, go check it out. It is a great book. And then read Conqueror's Blood. So because my reading was so sporadic this week, I wanted to get out a TBR video for the month of March this week, but I just couldn't. So I thought I'd squeeze it in here. And I didn't read a whole lot, so I'm going to try to squeeze in my TBR for the month of March and let you know a little bit about what we have planned coming up, some other fun stuff that's being planned that I'm really energized about. So this month's TBR, like I mentioned, was Conqueror's Blood. I did finish that. Echoes of Blood, like I mentioned, The Heroes, The Gray Bastards. We're starting a group read for that. The discussion isn't until the first week of April, so there is room. If you are interested in joining our discussion, our group read for that series, check the forums. All the discussions are there, and of course, the first one I think is on the calendar already. I hope to get to the Warrior Prophet this month. I really hope to get to that this month. And of course, The Hand That Casts by Holly Tinsley. It's the follow-up to We Men of Ash and Shadow. I have the arc, so I'm going to be chipping away at that one. And I'm going to break my own rules, I think, and just chip away at some of these and not start another book. So I just think I can maximize my time a little bit better if I can break from that habit a little bit. It's a process. And I also hope to start Deadhouse Gates. So we have that discussion next month. I have plenty of time, but it's one of those books that are really thick and really dense, and I want to take my time with it. I don't want to be rushing at the last minute. We have all the same people coming back for the second discussion for Deadhouse Gates, so I'm going to try and get a head start on that one and not be trying to finish it in a couple of days. It's just not fun. So this month's interviews, like I mentioned, that are scheduled already are Jonathan French, Dirk Ashton, T.L. Coughlin, who was on Page Chewing a few weeks ago, G.M. Nair, Thomas Howard Riley, and Armanis Arfiniel. I think I mispronounced your name. I'm really sorry. When we chat, I'll make sure we get it right on our interview. Also this month, we are having Page Chewing Episode 2 with P.L. Stewart, and our guest will be Jenny Wirtz. We are also reaching out to more. We have a few episodes planned for Page Chewing. Thanks all of you who came by to support us for that. Lots and lots of great discussion, and we have a lot of stuff coming up. So hope you all enjoy. And if you have any suggestions on interviews or people that would be good for page chewing, let us know. And we are reaching out to some booktubers as well. So we do have stuff planned far ahead. But so I'm hoping some of you will accept if we do invite you. Like I mentioned, in April, we have the Deadhouse Gates discussion on April 9th. That one's full for people on stream. I don't want to have too many people on stream, but that one is full. But of course, you can interact with us in the chat to hear our thoughts on Deadhouse Gates. Then I did set up the time and date for the Winter Road deep dive with Adrian Selby. We do have that scheduled for April 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Zara from Books with Zara, I chatted with her a little bit ago, and she actually reached out and said, "Hey, I heard you're doing this. Can I join you?" I was like, "Heck yeah, that'd be great." So she's coming by to chat the Winter Road with us, and there is one spot left. I think I want to have 4 total, including Adrian Selby. So if you want to appear on stream, of course, if you want to just chat with us, there's no limit. But if you want to be on stream with us, there's one more slot left to let us know. Let me know if you want to take that slot, because I'm saving that one slot. And I have someone who's up in the air about it, so that may be full very soon. So how was your week? What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to? How are you doing? How was your week? My week was kind of nuts, but how was your week? Maybe your week was better than mine. So this week we did watch the Kanye West documentary. I think it's called Genius. I can't ever pronounce the name. We started watching the first episode. I thought was pretty good. I'm one of those people who think Kanye West is a genius. I think he is also insane. So you can have both. You can be both. I think College Dropout is one of the best hip hop albums of all time. It's up there, top 5, maybe top 3 of all time. It is that good. So watching the footage from back then and how that album came to be and putting it all together, that was really fun. The episodes for the documentary are like an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes long. There's 3 of them. The first 2 were pretty good. The first one was really good. The second one was okay. And then it's a very minor spoiler, but the person who was documenting all this in Kanye's life, after the first album, they kind of lost touch, and he didn't film anything for like 8 years. So it kind of felt all this buildup and all these stories that it was telling, and it got really detailed, and then there was like an 8-year gap, and then he comes back at the end in like 2016 or 17, and they kind of it seemed like this. It was kind of like, I have this footage from way back when. Can we finish something? And he's like, yeah, come on and hang out with me for a few weeks, and then we'll throw something together. It just didn't feel like it tied things together at the end. It was very disappointing. Was not a fan of the last episode. I do think it's worth watching if you're into that kind of thing. I like the documentary music stuff. I think it's really really neat to see all these, back in the late 90s and stuff that was going on, and how he came up, and how everyone no one took him seriously, and he overcame, and he became this huge star. And I think there was a lot of stories I would have wanted to know what happened with all these stories, like all this stuff that happened. What happened with that? What became of this situation? And we never know. It's just this last episode is kind of like a weird thing. And another thing that bothers me is when the person who's documenting, the person who's behind the camera, inserts themselves in the process. It's kind of like, I guess a little bit is okay, but I don't know. I'm not here to hear about your life, and that sounds pretty cruel. But I think you can all relate to what I'm saying, at least in some way. But so yeah, overall, I think it was okay. If you're into it, I think it might be worth a watch. At least the first 2. The last one, kind of rough. This week we did go see The Batman, the new Batman movie. We watched it on Thursday afternoon. Of course, whenever I decide, yes, this movie is theater worthy, I will brave the theater to see this movie early, because I don't want to wait. I sit next to someone who can't chew popcorn with their mouth closed, another person who brings a bunch of kids to the movie theater who just like run around. I mean, they're kids, it's not their fault. Or a crying baby, or people who want to talk and just give their commentary the entire time. It seems like every time I go, I'm excited to see a movie, I end up with a bunch of people who just are not considerate. And whenever I go to a movie, like, yeah, let's go check out this movie that I really don't care about, no one's there and no one says a word, and it's completely quiet the entire time. Go figure. But I'll stop complaining about people in the movie theaters. The Batman, it was, for me, it sat somewhere between okay and good. There was some stuff I really liked about it. There's some stuff that I thought they did really well. I'm a big Matt Reeves fan, the director, and I was a little skeptical about Pattinson, but I think he did a pretty good job. For you comic book fans out there, I got some serious year one vibes. I think the kind of the starting out Batman, kind of, getting a feel for how it all works. There was a lot of good things. I just think some of the scenes went on too long, and it kind of like trying to add like this dramatic effect, and it really didn't need to. And I think some of them just went on for a little too long. Like, okay, let's move on. Like we don't have to do so much slow-mo because it's like 3 hours long. And it doesn't feel like it's 3 hours long necessarily, but I think it could have been tightened up a little bit, made it a lot better. But I did enjoy the detective parts of it, the investigation. We're unraveling this mystery, and of course, no spoilers. I won't spoil anything for you, but overall, I thought it was good. I don't think it was great. I still think, and I know a lot of people disagree with me, I still think Ben Affleck is the best Batman. He is for sure. I think most people would agree he's the best Bruce Wayne. I think he has that kind of punchable face that Bruce Wayne has in most of the comic books. But there's some really great action scenes in the Batman, a really great car chase. So lots of good stuff. It just overall, it was good. So let me know down below, do you enjoy reading one book at a time? What's your rule for that? Do you enjoy reading one book, or can you juggle 7 books at one time and still make sense of it all? I just can't do that. My brain can't handle it. My synapses can only handle so much. The 2 synapses I have can only handle so much. So let me know down below how you handle that, if you can juggle a bunch, or you like me and like to read one book at a time. So if you'd like to connect with me, I can be found on our forums, creepingdeath.org. We have our calendar, blogs, forums, all that stuff. Other stuff I can never remember until after I'm done recording. I can also be found on Twitter at Steve Talks Books. That is mostly book focused. I am on Instagram. I just don't check it very often. And I'm also on Facebook. I don't check that very often, unfortunately. Just too many platforms. I am also on Vero. I post most of my personal stuff on Vero. If you're interested in anything that I do, it could be found there too. And of course, you can find all the long form content on the podcast. If you would rather listen than watch on YouTube, you can download the file directly from the Buzzsprout site, or pick your favorite podcasting platform of choice. I'm on the fence of whether or not I should continue the podcast. I'm kind of wondering, is there enough interest? So I'm going to see how it goes in the next few months and then kind of decide. Also, I had been reading some short stories, and this week I had this really bad coughing fit. When I was recovering from COVID in January, I had this really bad coughing fit for like an hour. In the middle of the night, I just woke up and couldn't stop coughing. And I've been feeling better. I've been feeling almost back to normal. But I had this really bad coughing fit one of the nights, and it really threw me off, and I could not speak for a day, and just not fun. So that's another thing that kind of set me back this week. So I do plan to go back to short stories. Just fell off a little bit, but I'm planning to do the 7 days, one a day for 7 days of short stories on the podcast. As always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you coming by. If you are a returning subscriber or supporter, I really want to thank you. All of you who make comments, or thumbs ups, all that stuff. I know some people watch and don't say anything, and that's cool too. But once in a while, just say hello, just say something, because I wonder sometimes, who's watching? Am I talking to myself? But anyway, thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the support, all of you who come by and watch every week and just interact with me, or just come by to watch. I really, really appreciate it. This is fun, and it wouldn't be fun if no one was around. So thank you. I appreciate it. So until next time, I will talk to you soon.